credit cards. Yes? You know what interest rates you're paying? You're paying 17, 18, 20%. Do you know how much Wall Street banks borrow money from? 2.5%. And then you got poor people who have to go to payday lenders when they're charged 200% interest rates. Anybody think that's moral or right?
No.
You got the pharmaceutical industry. Last year made $69 billion in profits, and they charge us the highest prices in the world for prescription drugs, such that 1 out of 5 Americans cannot even afford the medicine their doctors prescribe. 69 billion in profits, and the American people cannot afford the medicine they need. Anyone think that's moral?
No.
You got an insurance industry. An insurance industry which ends up costing us twice as much per person on health care as do the people of any other nation. Today in America, you got 34 million people who have no health insurance, and many more, including you and you and you, who have high deductibles and high co-payments, and you can't afford to go to the doctor when you're sick. Am I right?
Yeah.
And you're scared to death that, God forbid, you or somebody else ends up in the hospital and you come out with a $100,000 bill that you're never going to be able to pay off, while creditors and credit agencies hound you every single day. Well, I'll tell you what we're going to do about it. We're going to join every other country, major country on earth, and guarantee health care to all people as a right through a Medicare for all single-payer program. Now, 4 years ago, when I came to Georgia, and I talked about health care as a human right, the establishment, whether it was the political establishment or the media establishment, they said, Bernie, you're a nice guy, but you're crazy. That was the best thing they said. Some bad things. And their point was that nobody in America believes in health care for all. Well, you know what? Last poll that I saw had 70% of the American people supporting Medicare for all. But it is not just a fight for a fair economy, an economy that addresses the needs of working people. I get criticized for being radical and extreme. I am not. All that I am talking about are ideas that the vast majority of the American people support. The American people believe in Medicare for all. The American people believe that if you work 40 hours a week, you should not be living in poverty, and that we should raise the minimum wage to a living wage, $15 an hour. Not a radical idea. When I talked about it 4 years ago, people said I was a little bit nuts on that one too. Well, you should know 7 states have now gone forward to raise the minimum wage to $15 an hour. And the U.S. House of Representatives will pass similar legislation in the next couple of months. 4 years ago, I was on a national television debate, and the moderator said to me, Senator Sanders, what do you consider to be the major national security threat facing this country? And I think the moderator expected I would say ISIS or Al-Qaeda or some terrorist organization. And I said, no, the answer is climate change. And the moderator laughed. Well, they're not laughing today, because the scientific community has told us that if we don't move in an extremely aggressive manner to transform our energy system away from fossil fuel and into energy efficiency and sustainable energy, the planet we will be leaving to our kids and grandchildren will be suffering irreparable is the word, non-reversible damage. Think about that. So our job in terms of climate change is to tell this president not only that he is absurd when he talks about climate change being a hoax, but that he is a danger not only to this country, but to the entire world. We need a president, and I look forward to being that president, who will lead the world, bring countries together. Because climate change is not an American issue, it's not a Russian issue, it's not a Chinese issue, it is an issue impacting every country on Earth. Now think about a world where instead of spending $1.5 trillion a year on weapons designed to kill people, we started investing in transforming our global energy system. Imagine that, countries not fighting each other, but coming together to address the major crisis facing the entire planet. But it's not just a rigged economy that we are going to address. It is a corrupt political system. And let me underline the word corrupt. In America today, as a result of the disastrous Citizens United Supreme Court decision, we have billionaires buying elections, and brothers and sisters, we together will overturn Citizens United. In America today, you have cowardly governors in some place close to your home who think the only way they can win elections is by suppressing the vote. And I say to those governors in Georgia and every place else in this country, if you don't have the guts to participate in free, fair, and open elections, get the hell out of politics and get another party. And I know that Governor Abrams agrees with me. And when we talk about the major issues facing this country, we have to put on the table an extremely broken and racist criminal justice system. You got to call it the way it is. And the way it is, my friends, is that we have more people in jail in the United States right now than any other major country on earth, any other country on earth. Think about it. China, communist authoritarian country, 4 times our size. We have more people in jail than China does. So you want to hear a radical idea? This looks like a radical group. How about, instead of investing in jails and incarceration, we invest in jobs for our young people and education? My guess is it costs a hell of a lot less to send a kid to the University of Georgia than send them to jail. Let's send them to the University of Georgia. And we have not only a broken criminal justice system in terms of the number of people we have in jail, but we have a broken war on drugs system. Now, a few years ago, when some of us said that maybe it is not a great idea to be locking up hundreds of thousands of people, not locking them up, but giving criminal records to hundreds of thousands of people a year for the crime of possessing marijuana. Well, 4 years ago, that was seen as a radical idea. Today ain't so radical. State after state decriminalizing or legalizing the possession of marijuana. And there are now communities around America that are expunging the records of those people arrested for marijuana. And today we say that we are sick and tired of a president who demonizes undocumented people. It is always easy for a bully to pick on minorities. It's the history of America. Picking on minorities, showing how tough you are. Well, we don't believe in demonizing undocumented people. We believe in comprehensive immigration reform and a path toward citizenship. We believe in providing immediate legal status for the 1.8 million young people eligible for the DACA program. And we believe that in America, this great country, we must never yank babies out of the arms of their mothers at the border. And that means we will have a humane border policy for those who seek asylum. Now, at a time in American history where so few have so much, and so many have so little, we say to the top 1% and large profitable corporations that under a Sanders administration, you no longer are going to get huge tax breaks. In fact, you're going to start paying your fair share of taxes. Anybody here know how much Amazon paid in federal income tax last year?
None! I work at Amazon!
They paid zero, and that is true for dozens of other large, profitable corporations. Well, I say to Mr. Bezos, the owner of Amazon, the wealthiest guy in the country, your good luck is about to end. You are going to start paying your fair share of taxes. When we, the message of our campaign is us, not me. Anybody know what that means?
Yes.
Yes.
It's not about only you.
That's right.
Yeah.
It means, this is what it means.
It's about all of us.
It's all of us. And I'll tell you what it means. It means, essentially, philosophically, we need to create a nation in which you care about my family and I care about your family, where we're all in it together. And it means something else. And nobody, you're never going to see this on TV, so glad you came, even though it's hot. And that is, what our campaign is uniquely about is taking on the power structure of this country. You know what that means? A lot of people can say, and it's a good thing to say, I want Medicare for all, that's great. But to get Medicare for all, you're going to have to take on the insurance companies and the drug companies. And they will spend, mark my words, you're the first to hear it. You're going to see on Georgia TV and on the radio 30-second ads, Bernie Sanders wants to take away your health care, raise all this kind of stuff. They will spend hundreds of millions of dollars to defeat our effort to pass Medicare for all. That's because They make billions in profits and huge compensation packages under the current dysfunctional system. So if you want Medicare for all, Frederick Douglass, you all know Frederick Douglass is the great abolitionist. And he said something to the effect that progress never takes place without struggle. You're not going to grow a crop unless you plant the seeds. So if you think we're going to deal with climate change without taking on the incredible power of the fossil fuel industry, you're wrong. So together, we can and must take on the oil companies and the coal companies and the gas companies. Are you prepared to do that? If you want real criminal justice system, real criminal justice reform, we're going to have to take on the people who make money by locking up fellow Americans. Are we prepared to take on the prison industrial complex? If we want to raise the minimum wage to a living wage, we're going to have to take on Walmart and the fast food industry and demand that they pay their workers a living wage. So my point is, we can be for all good things, but what makes this campaign, I believe, unique is the understanding that to achieve that goal of a government that works for all of us, we need a political revolution. That's what we need. And all of you know, any of you know anything about American history, you understand that real change never takes place from the top on down. It always takes place from the bottom on up. 125 years ago, 150 years ago, you had workers in America who had no power at all. They were treated like animals. Worked 60, 70 hours a week, 7 days a week, fired arbitrarily, no rights at all. But those brave workers stood up and they said, and sometimes they got beaten up, sometimes they got killed. But they said, we are human beings, we have dignity, we will not be treated with contempt, we will form unions. And 100 years ago, and 50 years ago, and today, Americans, black and white, said we will not accept segregation, we will not accept racism in America. And the civil rights movement was not just about the great leader, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., and he would tell you that. It was about millions of people prepared to go out on the streets, to get arrested, to get beaten, in some cases to get killed, in order to end racism in America. And that's how you have the Voting Rights Act and the Civil Rights Act. And it's exactly the same for the women's movement. Exactly the same. 100 years ago, women in America didn't even have the right to vote. Women couldn't go to get the education they wanted. During a divorce, women got nothing. But women all over this country, against incredible odds, taking on the entire male establishment, they said that in our country, we as women will not be treated as second-class citizens. And they fought back. And based on what has happened in Alabama the other day, we still have a hell of a lot of fight in order to protect women's rights and the rights of women to control their own bodies.